So you finally pick yourself up a copy of Smash 4, whether it be for Wii U or 3DS. You officially adopt this mindset like, wow, what a fun game! I don't need to learn all the button inputs like I do in Street Fighter. You unlock all the characters and then get mad at your parents because they won't buy you the DLC and you're obviously 10 years old. You invite over your friends and then eventually beat their asses because they don't know how to play any fighting games. And once again you're like, wow, I'm really good at this game. I guess I should go on 4 Glory, the place to really test my skills. You are now at 24 wins to 2. And once again, being the stereotypical 10-year-old, you're like, wow, this is a fantastic game. I'm the best, no one else can beat me. So you eventually decide to go to a tournament that's close by. You go in there so confident, and then you get your ass fucking destroyed. Because, once again, you're only 10 years old, and you don't know how to play. So you start blaming other people for using the characters that sort of counter yours. How your character can't really win. How they have a harder time against top tiers. And then you realize the character you actually play. Little Mac. As you know, I'm a low tier main, so I have to go through the many hardships that many characters from 58 to, 30 have to deal with, so I am fully aware of what I'm going to be naming off on this video. When you're a low tier main, your character is definitely going to be a low tier for a reason. Sometimes it's going to be because they can't go up against certain characters without having to play a certain way, or having to play really defensively, which is basically the same thing that you're gonna have to do. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do, and also there's some other really weird soft counters that are really hard to get off if you don't know how to execute them correctly. That requires a lot of practice, but at the same time, that's getting into my next topic. So you decide it's time to practice. You eventually ask one of your friends who main a high tier to practice with you. They, sort of say no in, the nicest way possible, saying that they have to go help their friend, or they're already in a battle with someone, and that's because they just don't want to play you. I mean, if you main Little Mac, or Zelda, or Jigs, they don't need to practice against them. All they have to do is just wing it in the battle, and that's pretty much it. They don't really think that they're gonna ever encounter your character inside a tournament, so they don't feel the need to practice against them. And that sort of limits your practice options. If you just so happen to main a low tier, you're not going to have the best results. You might have 50-50, but it's probably going to be maybe 40-60 most of the time. Currently, the least played characters are actually all of the Miis, except since those aren't really tournament legal, the lowest 3 players that aren't played that much are Olimar, Duck Hunt, and Wario. Now of course, those don't exactly solidify their tier on the list, but instead they sort of give them not exactly the best results. Sure, you might see cool things of Wario or Duck Hunt, but their results aren't exactly going to be that consistent, as well as most low tiers. This next one isn't more so a low tier problem, but sort of an everyone problem. The patience and the time and effort it takes to master one character and play them competitively, and also get the results, is pretty hard in general. Some high tiers like Sheik and Zero Suit Samus are sort of hard to play at a top level, but sort of take the amount of skill that you'd have to learn for Zack and transfer it over to maybe Bowser Jr. or Zelda, or even Jigs or Little Mac. Characters that take an insane amount of work in order to master, and also learn their tips and tricks that no one's ever actually discovered, and it's a lot of work and patience. Surprise, surprise, maining a low tier doesn't exactly give you the best rep. People are gonna get mad if they do lose to a low tier and they main maybe a high tier or even a mid tier. They sort of will feel intimidated, but then rage is just behind everything when they start to get angry. And so they might start to insult your character, saying that there's one gimmick that makes him or her stupid or dumb. And in the end, you're just gonna have to sort of deal with it. I mean, if you let that get to you and you switch to a high tier, well then you're not a true smasher. You're a tier whore. And in the end, it's just gonna take a lot of willpower not to just cave in. I will admit I have done this a bunch of times, but let's say you're on full glory, and then all of a sudden you haven't been able to win a game against this one person. well, you're a low tier, or even any character for all that matters, and then they play your character. Let's say you're Bowser Jr., and then they also play Bowser Jr. as well. And all of a sudden they win. They think that they have an edge over you, and that the character still sucks, and that they're good enough to play the character. Well, that sort of happens to everybody, and it does suck, but I do see it happen to a lot more low tiers than it does high tiers. Wait, I have one question. Why should you main low tiers? Well, I'll be going over that in my next video, so stay tuned. So until next time, see ya!